lot of interesting information about the content of innovative organizations, so let's find out some things about the form. I would like to invite Mr. Vladimir Arsene from Westfourth Architecture to discuss about new architecture and interior designs that are meeting the challenges of business today.
Thank you. I'm supposed to talk about how architecture and interior design meet the challenges of business today in 15 minutes. I cannot. So every time I have a very vast subject, I try to focus on a very narrow one, because that's the best way to deal with the time limitations. So the angle that I want to look today is the perception of the office space in the city and in the becoming of the city. And as transparency of these buildings increased due to technology, these office spaces become more and more some sort of public rooms of the city. And in these public rooms, in these foyers, these living rooms of the city, it starts to become very visible whatever we put inside. And as everything becomes visible, the city participates to the active life of the office. This image is from Europe House, and as you see at night, especially at night, you can see everything what happens inside. That means that as every floor has different tenants, and as these tenants move and continuously change directions, one has to care about how these permutations affect the image of the entire image of the city, of the building. So one has to look at ceilings, especially because as you look from the street, it is the ceilings of these office spaces that send outside the message about what kind of space we are dealing with. And as we're talking about flexibility and open and closed office space, as my previous speaker said, I'm presenting here, for instance, a reflecting ceiling plan. Means that as we are looking up at the ceiling, that's what means a reflecting ceiling plan of this particular office building, which is on a bay of 6 meters. And as you see, these 6 meters are available to be divided into two offices of 3 meters by 5 meters, or can be the same time open office space. It's interesting to see, as in a 10-story building, as Europe House, which every tenant takes 2-3 floors and change contents constantly, that we succeeded to keep the same sort of look of the ceilings, because the partitions for open office space or closed office space are all in the same modulation. The strips of light in the air contain also air diffusers, and on the floor contain data and electrical boxes. So this entire structure is flexible for all these movements. Another example is the America House, a 108-meter long building, where the variation of the interior space is also held by the variation of the facade. And here, like in this other space, in this other building, this time on a bay of 7.80 meters, which allows for offices of half a bay of 3.90 meters, which are very comfortable. We have used this time on the other direction the same organization of distribution of lights, electrical, data, air supply, allowing for the same configuration of the ceilings within a various distribution of office, open or enclosed office space. This other image is the image of Charles de Gaulle office center. This time, this very modular elongated box that it was before, it is challenged by a circular form. And this one, of course, has a limited flexibility. However, even here, we can try to allow for a variation and permutation of office spaces, conference room, open and office space, and concentration on the same power lines of light structure, light data and air distribution, so we can have as much as possible of the same grid. This is the Lafarge headquarters in Bucharest. All of these projects are in Bucharest. And this was a project done for a corporation, so the issue of open space flexibility and so forth, it's a little bit different. These people wanted very precise rooms. But even here, the partition of rooms is done in such a way that if at one point in the future an entire department change, all the walls can come down and the entire office can function as an open office area. I'll present further some more images of some of our buildings in the city at night. And as we see the office space from outside, which is, as I said, a sort of interesting way of looking at our corporate life, where we spend a third of time. This represents also the public image of the office culture. What I showed before, it was Midbank, one of the earliest buildings that we did in Bucharest. This is Meccano Export in headquarters in close to Piazza Romano, one of the more recent ones. And I'm going to go now to some future buildings and the impact of their image to the outside as far as the interior of the buildings is concerned. This is called the City Gate, 2 office towers next to Piazza Prese Libere, to be built starting early next year. This is the way it looks, Lască Catagiu Boulevard, looking straight at the Alpha Tower. It's called Bucharest Tower Center, the future headquarters of Alpha Bank, in which, again, the inside of the building is going to be revealed to the outside on a straight end curve form. And here also on a grid of 7.50 meters, allowing for the same flexibility of open, closed space, or in between, high panel, low panel, pod or bulkheads. And finally, some of the very new project. This is a project, it's called the Ana Tower. It's close to Piazza Prese Libere, which is going to start construction also next year. In the second part of the discussion, the previous speaker was talking about the other spaces of the office building, the public spaces of the office building outside the cubicles and the office area per se, the lobbies, the atriums, the cafeterias. And I think that these spaces have a major role in improving the quality of corporate life, of work life. They will attract people, they will make people hang around within the office space. And I think that what we want to show here, this is Europe House, is our preoccupation to the detail and the quality of these spaces. This is some images from the lobbies of America House, some spaces in America House where on the first floor it's a gallery and there are cafeterias and there are cafes, exactly as it was said before, trying to keep people inside. The other access to downstairs, it's a cafe, going up to the other gallery connecting this very long building, a very public space. This is one of the public spaces of Midbank that I showed you before. A gallery connecting the lobby with the garage along the Midbank. Again, an important transitional space within the assembly of the building. A space for large conference rooms, also within the office space, rather than having people going to dedicated conference centers. This is within the office space in Midbank. And this is another auditorium in another office building in the United States, in New Jersey. From the same office building, an atrium, which is used very much for cafeteria during the office breaks and during lunch. It's an atrium closed. It's a small building with 2-3 floors. The office space of Charles de Gaulle, the atrium of Charles de Gaulle, one of the most interesting and for us and special spaces for congregation of these people. And as you go up the atrium, you see all the activities on all the floors. It's some sort of a city, vertical city within the office building. These are the elevator lobbies. out of glass and information. This is an image from the atrium looking down to the lit floor of the ground, and then you see the office spaces surrounding the interior atrium, a view from below. And another view, which going up is going through an X-ray of this building, observing all the activities around. Some of the people are a little bit bothered by that and put some sort of blinds to have more privacy. But I thought at one point that this having or not privacy, it is something that one can choose. And finally, I would like to conclude my very brief and in time presentation with some images from our office in New York, which is an old building, very small, converted by us into our small architectural office. And with these very last images, I'd like to thank you.
Now let's go into more details, and I would like to invite Mrs. Benedict Fels from Steelcase to present us the latest trends in interior office design.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let us first have a look on the fact that wireless technology enables users to escape their traditional workstation and work elsewhere on or off the company's premises. What about the workplace organization in these spaces? The second part is about the arrival of new information and communication technologies, leading all users to spend some time in front of a monitor. Intensive work in front of a screen can cause some health problems. However, these problems can be limited by taking an overall approach of the workplace to avoid transferring a pain from one part of a body to another. The new technology tools influence our work behaviors, enabling us to move to become semi-nomadic or nomadic in the company and outside the company. More and more, we shift from what we call process work, which is predefined tasks associated with clear goals, requiring ergonomic comfort, tools, equipment, and information within easy reach, to what we call knowledge work, project-driven and network-oriented work, involving diversity of tasks, teamwork, informal communication, and concentration. At times, knowledge workers need to concentrate and contemplate. At others, conversation and collaboration are more appropriate. The office, therefore, needs to accommodate those different activities by offering a diversity of different spaces and by giving the users control over their work environment. Thus, allowed mobility gives access to a diversity of spaces, individual workstations, which are attributed or not, teaming spaces, where groups of people are sharing a common objective achieved by individual work and by collaboration. Meeting spaces, and also what we call informal or in-between spaces, all those spaces supporting informal communication and interaction. Diverse workspaces which enhance communication, foster innovation, stimulate creativity, speed up decision-making, encourage learning between people, and improve work processes. the office becomes a powerful management tool that can enable the company to build a more creative and a more productive organization, a strategic asset that has a strong impact on business results. People differ, their tasks differ, and their work styles differ. To make mobility becoming a real success, the work environments need to support those differences and needs to adapt to a wide range of individual and group needs. Only then will the work environment accommodate the diversity of today's work demands. There are two ways to support diverse work styles. First, provide for ergonomic requirements and personal preferences. Second, create a diversity of spaces. From a product point of view, the intuitivity of the chairs, the flexibility of the furniture, and the easiness of connection are key points for success. Certain individuals, like lawyers, consultants, and salespeople, are much more involved in contacts without the company. They work in different places and spend on average 80% of their time outside the company. They use a lot IT tools and wireless technologies. But even if their work is increasingly nomadic in nature, they still need to have easy access to their personal stuff when they come to the office, and also easy access to information and communication technology. Caring for the quality of the workplace in terms of materials, design, and technology helps to compensate the reduction of attributed workstations and ensures nomadic people are still willing to come to the office. Welcome areas supporting welcome and reception activities, and what we call in-between spaces, those spaces supporting informal exchange activities, have become strategic places for companies and have proved to be underutilized. Today, their unused space can account for up to 30% of the total work environment. Tomorrow, these places will become central to work. To equip those spaces, Steelcase developed a product range called Be Free Lounge. Why Be Free Lounge? Because working behaviors are less and less formal, because people are looking more and more for human, social, and casual exchanges, and because an important part of communication in today's companies is informal. Be Free Lounge will help you to optimize the use of your workspace, to foster communication, innovation, and learning between people, and to stimulate creativity. The Be Free Lounge range is composed of 7 simple, geometrical, autonomous elements designed to be pieced together like a landscape. They allow to create either open spaces or more closed spaces. It is possible to reconfigure the same elements to obtain different configurations. And tomorrow the office is tending to invade home. 1 worker out of 7 would work at home for professional reasons. But it's not an easy thing to prepare for work in a context made for relaxation. When people do not have room to set aside for their business activities, the furniture can help them to prepare for work. Fact is that more and more people are working in front of a monitor. 70% of employees work at a screen, and 38% of people use a computer every day. Those people are facing risks linked to their work in relation with the computer. Be aware of received ideas. The computer tires the eyes and highlights certain visual problems, but it does not cause them. 85% of the information we receive is visual. The eye is subject throughout the day to varying levels of illumination, including the one of the computer screen. This continual demand for adaptation is the main reason for visual fatigue. Today's best recommendation, however, is to switch to a flat screen. If the sales of flat panel LCD monitors are showing an explosive growth, it's not only because of their more attractive design, but because they offer many advantages in terms of health and comfort. They cause less visual fatigue. They can be viewed obliquely, allowing several people working together at the same screen, and they are height and angle adjustable. So LCDs can help avoid visual problems. The computer is not bad for the eyes, but can be bad for back and wrists, causing what is known as repetitive strain injuries. Working at the monitor imposes a static posture and repetitive movements over a long period of time. The less ergonomic the posture is, the more painful problems it can cause. A good chair is therefore curved to match the shape of the body, is adjustable to the user's height, weight, and activity, is designed to favor movement, and is adapted to your activities and the postures they involve. The accessories optimize the sitting position in front of a monitor, optimizing its height and distance. They can help reduce eye strain and other pressure points on other parts of the body. Choosing the right chair is not enough to make a workstation ergonomic. With the arrival of new technologies, it's the whole workstation, even the whole office, that need rethink. Having a good chair is nice. Knowing how to adjust it is better. The European Directive 90/270/EU gives some postural recommendations regarding the relation computer-body to avoid any eyes and muscle strains. There are two variables of a workstation. First, the place occupied by the user sitting on the chair, and the place occupied by the accessories required to carry out the task being performed. The technology tools need to be integrated in our workspace in a way that is ergonomic, space-saving, highly flexible, and that allows us to access easily with power, data, and communication networks whenever we need it. Storage products and tools can help you save time and desk space so that you can work in a most organized and most productive way. We spoke about the task chair, the desk, storage systems and accessories. Those items are not the only one influencing the comfort of the user at his workstation. Lighting, acoustics, color and temperature, at Stillcase ergonomic considerations invade all dimensions of the work environment. Thank you.
I would like to invite now Mrs. Ruxandra Stoyan, who will discuss about the new legislative requirement mandating safe and healthy workspaces.
Good afternoon. I do feel envy on my previous presenters because they had to talk about flexibility, art and beauty. And I have this boring presentation, black and white, about compliance and risk management. But unfortunately, we live through this time in which we need to look at compliance and risk management. I will not bother you with too many details and with laws, but just to be aware that starting with the 1st of October, we have a new health and safety law. Obviously, as we have been used already, the norms have been published on the 30th of October. And they're not big, just like that. There are good news and bad news. So I'll just start with the good news. For the first time, I think it's a more clear classification on employers based on number of employees and risk categories. And it's a law that addresses small businesses and the risks that the small businesses face. So it is maybe a help for those of us who are in charge with companies with less than 10, 25, 49 employees. For the big companies, the burden, unfortunately, is the same. There is also a definition of risk categories in this law, and this will help us move forward into the things that the law is actually requiring us to do. So I'll just skip to the bad news. Obviously, there are more legal requirements that we need to follow. We are allowed to use external experts to help us with the health and safety issues. The number of these available experts that are validated by the relevant bodies, unfortunately, is quite low. We don't have regulation, which are the mandatory norms to be applied within EU. We have directives, which are recommendations. But if you misobey a recommendation, you're in trouble to the same extent as you are if you do not follow a regulation, which usually is more clear and it's a law. So we have to move from just reading the law into reading a huge pack of European directives that would regulate, as you have seen, the height of a chair, the angle to which you look into the monitor, and all the other things. In terms of what we need to do next, I think the most important, or the first step, should be the evaluation, because this is what the new law says. Each employer should evaluate risks and should determine an action plan to prevent and address those risks through different measures. So in these norms you'll find some guidelines on how you can evaluate risks, even in a nice, open space, risk-free environment. And you will find some guidelines into what kind of policies and procedures you need to put in place. If you are working maybe in a less fortunate environment in which you have production or underwater conditions and all sorts of things, things obviously will become much more complicated. What's going to happen if we don't follow this? Obviously we'll have financial risks, we'll have to pay penalties and fines. If something very bad and unfortunate happens, we'll have to face criminal charges. But probably one of the most important things is going to be that we lose the competitiveness of being able to be equal to companies that want to partner with us from EU and want us to be compliant on all chapters, including the health and safety. So my just final word would be try to go through your own internal procedure to make them compliant with what is written in the law, ask for support from whomever is available, and expect that the Labor Inspectorate will start exercising their audit as soon as they finish reading the law. Thank you very much.